Hi, this is David with Pet Ortho Braces, and today we're going to talk about the casting procedure for a custom cranial cruciate ligament brace or a stifle brace for your dog. In the casting kit, you should have received 2 rolls of tapes, a cutting strip, a cut knife, gloves, stockinette, tape measure, scissors, and an order form. You also need a small bucket of room temperature water that you can dip your water in and possibly a towel. Here is Cooper. We'll be casting him today, and this is the outcome we're looking for. Again, here's a quick overview of the contents of your casting kit. And what you'll need to bring is a small bucket of water, a Sharpie, and some press and seal or saran wrap. I like to start with wrapping a centerpiece around the torso of Cooper so that we have something for the material to hang on to when we are casting. Now here, you'll see I'm wrapping the saran wrap around Cooper's thigh as high as we can get it. We want to go up into the groin area, all the way as high as we can possibly get it. Now what I'm using here is the press and seal, which kind of sticks to itself. And the other reason we're using this is because Cooper has some very thick, long fur. We want to compress it to get a better cast and a more accurate representation of his anatomy. So here I'm continuing to wrap just a single layer all the way down, and I'm pulling fairly tight in order to compress the fur and get down to the bone and the muscle and the tissue and the anatomy. All right, so we're continuing to wrap here, and we're going to go all the way down past the hock joint and the ankle joint, but you don't have to go all the way to the foot if you don't want to. And here's what it looks like when we're complete. All right. So right here I'm showing you want to go up high in the groin as you can possibly get. This also helps keep the casting material off of the dog's fur and to cause him some discomfort when you're removing the cast. So I'm going to compress here, make sure my saran wrap is nice and tight. And I've taken my Sharpie. I'm going to mark the patella or the kneecap. I'm also going to mark the tib tubercle, which is below the patella. It's a fairly prominent bone. And right between those two, just below the kneecap, I'm going to draw a line straight over because that's where the knee articulates. That's the separation point between the tibia and the femur. Now I'm also down at the end, I'm marking the lateral malleolus as one of my landmarks. And now I'm going to take a tape measure and I'm going to measure from the lateral malleolus up to the center of the knee joint. Now on a dog like this, you're probably looking at about 8 inches, 7.5, 8 inches. We're going to record that measurement for future use. After that, we're going to pull on our stocking net that's provided. This is just a nice cotton piece of stocking that will be pulled all the way up the dog's limb. Now I have a little cheater clamp here that helps me. I clamped the stocking onto the plastic wrap that I wrapped around his torso in order to help hold it up. Now I'm doing this because a lot of times I'm casting by myself and I need an extra hand. If you have an assistant, I would highly recommend that they sit on the back side of the dog and pull the stocking up and keep it very taut while you cast. That's a little bit easier than the clamp method that I'm using. At this point, I'm showing you how to do this on your own. Now once the stocking is on, I'm going to remark on the outside of the stocking where I did before. I'm going to mark the patella. Okay, I'm going to mark the tib tubercle, a very prominent bone below the patella. And again, we're going to go in between and mark a line for the joint. Remark the lateral malleolus, which is the very prominent bone on the ankle. Make sure everything stays in alignment. And now we're ready to cast. Very, very important here. You've been provided with a cut strip, either a tube or a yellow flat cut strip. Put this down the posterior aspect of the cotton stockinette and then you're going to wrap your fiberglass tape right on top of that cut strip. So you're going to want to dip that in the water, squeeze it 2 or 3 times, go right on top of your hose or your cut strip, which is provided, and wrap fairly firm. You want to keep this pretty tight the whole time, maintaining the orientation of that cut strip in a nice straight line right down the back of the leg. Now I'm going to come up, I'm going to go over that knee joint, and then you're going to see me probably come right back up and get as high as I can get in that groin. This is very important. You want to go all the way up to where that leg touches the belly. Try to capture as much leg as you can possibly get in there. That will only give us an advantage when we're building the brace, and it'll provide more stability for the dog. Now, this is important. You do not have to use your whole roll of tape, and I rarely do. It becomes too thick and very difficult to cut off of the dog. So just one or two good layers, and then that's it. If you have material left over, just cut the cast tape and throw it in the water. So now I'm just going to smooth. We've got the tape on. We're high up into the groin right there, as you can see, as high as possible. We're going to smooth and kind of flatten the thigh area, making sure we capture the anatomy. Very important here, down at the ankle bone. I want you to massage that and make sure you get a really good snug contour around the ankle bones. And here I'm outlining the tube so I can see it when I cut it off with the cut knife provided. It usually only takes about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes for this material to harden enough to cut it. It will put off a slight bit of heat while it's curing because it's an exothermic reaction, and that's perfectly normal. This will not be uncomfortable for your pet. Actually, it's quite comfortable. There's Cooper checking out what we're doing. So go ahead and just keep massaging this. You're like I said, you'll feel it get a little bit warm. That cast material is going to start to harden up. It's going to get more firm as the minutes go by. In about 2-3 minutes, you're ready to cut it off. So here I'm going to mark it. I'm going to put a big L because that's his left. Please do that and mark left or right. I'm going to go ahead and mark those marks again where the patella was, the tib tubercle, and the joint line, which is really just right below the patella. I'm going to mark that lateral malleolus again, that lateral ankle bone. Okay, kind of measure, see if I'm in the ballpark of my previous measurement. Good. That looks like it's ready for us to remove. Now I'm going to take the Sharpie and I'm going to draw right on top of that tube where you can see how it's raised and you can see it very clearly. So we're going to draw on top of it so we can follow it and put little hash marks so that it can be realigned once we cut the cast. If you want to start from the top, make a small, tiny little cut into the fiberglass tape, just enough to get the hook of your draw blade under it. Here you're going to place the blade underneath the cast, but on top of the cut tube, and you're going to pull fairly firm and sharply downward in order to remove the cast. Now, I will say sometimes this can be difficult, and you've got to be careful, but just make sure you stay on top of the tube and you won't harm the dog. Plus, this is a safety blade. It would be very difficult to harm your animal even if you did slip off of the tube. So now we're all the way through. We're going to remove the tube. I'm going to remove my clamp. I'm going to go ahead and cut this belly pad I put on him and just give him some relief. There we go. And now I'm going to start to peel this material off a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to cut the stockinette underneath. Now that I know that it's open, there we go. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut the stocking. And now the whole brace should be easily removable. And there we have it. There's a nice cast. And again, it's very important that you go as high up into the groin as you can possibly get and on the outside. If you send us a really short brace up at the top, we may have to ask you to recast again. And that's why we provide a second roll of material in the casting kit, so that if you don't get quite what you're looking for the first time, you can use that second row of material and start the casting procedure over again. Now here I'm just simply cutting off the saran wrap so we can get Mr. Cooper comfortable and on his way. All right, get that off. We'll peel it off, and he's good to go. He's a happy boy. All right, so here is just put the dog's name on it. Keep your marks on there. And when I receive it, I'll realign those hash marks in the back, put it together, and that will help me with fabrication. And there we go. If you have any questions at all or concerns, please call the number below and reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help you through it. Thank you.